Welcome to the Big Biz Show. Taking care of business. You want fast-talking, hard-hitting discussions on business and finance? Maybe with a barroom slant and some really salty peanuts? We're not counting calories. We're counting cash. Before we get to the man with the financial plan, meet the money team. Costa, Mary, and Greg. Now, Captain Finance himself, Sully.
Hope everybody's having a great day. We certainly are. We welcome you to the Big Biz Show, live from the Loft 100 studios in sunny Southern California. Costa, Maribert Godwin, Greg Todorov, our executive producer, and of course, Sully.
Yep. Oh, I thought you said Captain Finance.
Well,
Let's say hello to the DTT. What's up, kids?
Hey! Some days you're ready for you got the cape on, other days you're like, eh.
Can I bring a dark pallor over the room real quickly?
Oh. Sure.
Not because Howie Font's going to be here and make us look stupid.
Okay.
In fact, let's bring Howie up right now. Howie, our entrepreneur, also our big biz market analyst. How many of you spent time this last year talking to your kids about money and investing and financial literacy?
I mean, I did, but not enough.
How many times have you even seen in a curriculum in, I'm not going to say elementary school or junior high, but high school or even college that doesn't, I'm not talking about econ, I'm talking about financial literacy. I'm talking about the actual ability to budget, the actual ability to write a check, the actual ability to understand what a checking account versus a savings account, and then of course how we investing. Talk about that, because this is a scary day that you brought this sort of data to us.
Sure. So there's been a new study that's been released of about 1,000 parents, K through 12. This is across all ages. And only 22% of parents are actually comfortable with their kids having basic investing knowledge, basic financial knowledge. And it's because we kind of ignore it. And there's this, free availability of stuff, and it's the tapping instead of paying cash, and all these things that have created some spending problems for younger generations.
Now, is this frightening to you at all? Or do you think that your boy is intelligent enough to catch it at this point? Because we weren't taught it either.
No.
I think I've got a story for you next break. I'll tell you that I think I was taught it, too young, and it has probably affected my.
I can remember sitting down, my dad having my older sister and I sit down and to watch him balance the checkbook. Like, he said, "What are you doing?" He goes, "Well, your mom and I are balancing the checkbook this month," and how that, that process used to work out. I took Toph out into the backyard when he was 21.
And beat him.
Well, besides that.
It sounded like this. It was like.
We poured a big thing of Roundup on the money tree and officially killed it. And said, okay, this is the way it's going to be now.
All right. That makes sense.
Yeah.
I think Howie, is this surprising? What is the percentage again you said?
22%?
No,
Only 22% of parents have any kind of confidence about their kids having good investment knowledge, good finance knowledge. And I think the solution is to, one, create a very big fear of get-rich-quick and skepticism of get-rich-quick schemes. I mean, they're terrible. They're all over the internet. They're all over TikTok. There's always some investment or some multi-level marketing thing you can do, and you'll make $100,000 in a month or something crazy like that. And I really think the answer is to just start as early as possible. I mean, Greg's got to be having drills every day. Is
every day?
Yes, sir.
Recite the compounding interest.
Exactly.
The laws of compounding interest right now.
Your
kids are way too early for this.
No,
right?
I agree.
I mean,
but not too early for a bank account. I think
that's right.
You do a bank account, right? And if you want to introduce the checkbook and all that stuff and go through the old school approach, I think more than anything, just keeping track of it is very empowering. Right, so the earlier you can start that, the better. But
and you know the allowance rule is
they love to spend at that age. They get $5, they want to spend $6, right? Like that's just.
And welcome to the U.S.
There have been some studies actually about this.
Stand by. We'll talk about it. Stand by. Let's get into it in a second here. Big Biz Show. Howie Font. Financial literacy for your kids. What's that? But I bet you spent a lot of time planning your next vacation, didn't you? Yeah. You're supposed to give your kids $1 for each year of age as a weekly allowance.
And they're supposed to have that many chores.
Exactly right. Delaney one time said, "Dad, I want more than $3. This is how you pick up dog poop for a living. It's the lowest form."
wherever you are watching and wherever you are listening. You're at the place known as the Big Biz Show. Hope you're having a good one. Mike Costa, Mary Bird Godwin, Greg Todorov, our executive producer, and of course, Sully.
Great to see you guys. And we've been talking to Howie Font about the ability to teach our kids about writing a check, about investing. My kids, I think, got in Mary's ear about 2 years ago, or better, maybe 3, and said, I think I forwarded a text to you, Mary, that said, hey, Dad, how come you never taught us about investing and we're going into our 30s? Mary said, we should do a thing on TikTok Money. And we immediately got 100,000 followers. And then I was like, it's too much for me. But the long story short, Howie, as we've been talking about this, is you mentioned earlier that 22% of parents are confident, only 22% are confident in their ability to teach their kids about investing. Now, we already ran around the table on this. That seems, honestly to me, as I mentioned before, it seems high. I think it's maybe 5% of people.
Yeah.
Talk about this where the survey came out, because the second piece we didn't get to is the 74% of parents say they would move their kids to another school if it taught financial education. So talk about that a little bit again.
Yeah, it's something that, I don't know, maybe went out with home ec classes or something like that. It's not taught. You don't have to balance a checkbook, but you should be making a budget. You should learn about basic investing tools, and these shouldn't be esoteric things that you have to fight for on your own. And I think the issue is when you have a world where the last show we talked about Bitcoin a couple days ago, when you have crypto, when you have meme stocks, when you have Robinhood right at your fingertips, there's a lot more risk involved than maybe there used to be, because you had to do so many steps just to call a broker, open an account, you had to pay for every trade, and that's not the case anymore. So it's even more important that kids are financially literate, and parents are not confident about that.
Let's face it, Howie, the only person that ever had Robinhood at her fingertips was Maid Marian. So it's just for the clear. But listen, can I say this real quickly? Because don't you think there should be a mandate, just like teaching math, just like teaching reading, just like teaching whatever subject that you're reading, writing, arithmetic? Don't you think they should teach? Shouldn't there be mandates? And are there states doing that?
Yeah. So only 26 states in the union require that you graduate high school with some sort of financial literacy course. Seems pretty basic to me, and honestly, a lot of the things we get taught are important for being a well-rounded human being, but are not as practical as something like a financial literacy course. Like, hey, by the way, folks, you're about to become an adult and go off into the world on your own, but good luck. I mean, we're not going to prepare you in any way for that. You're going to know, what happened in the Middle Ages, which is fine, right, but not at the expense of maybe some investing basics.
Well, so Mary, I'm going to talk to Mary about this because we talked about Bitcoin earlier, and how this is, we're all kind of worried about, we don't really understand the whole thing. Don't you think that kids, like your kids, I'm talking about your kids, because your kids, it's the time to start teaching them now.
Right.
Maybe, I think too early. I will tell you, and I'll share this with you guys in all seriousness. My mom was having me keep books of my allowance and my expenditures when I was 8 years old, which is really tragic and should tell you a lot of things if you know me personally. Why I am the basket case that I am now. Of course, my dad was a drug dealer and my mother was Hillary Clinton. So, but the bottom line is, I found a book that said income, expenses, date. So I get $5 allowance because she wanted to know, because she came from a very, very poor family. Where's your money going? You need to know all the time. Where's your cash flow is more important than your mother. Hear me say that?
Yep.
My mom told me that.
Yep.
That's the kind of mom I had. Cash flow is more important than your mother. Now get over there and pick up the big from 34th Street. So, but when you think in terms of that, Mary, have you sat down?
Not enough. And we talk about this a lot because my daughters say this about the things they're learning, and then they say, well, how am I going to learn to pay taxes? I don't know how to do.
Believe me, they'll teach you.
Fill out the forms. Are all these basic things. And I was going to ask Howie, because one of my daughters is taking AP economics, but that's not going to teach her.
Econ is not budgeting.
They're right. It's not budgeting. It's not the basics.
You know what he has to do? You know, well, the interesting question should be, how am I going to learn to cope with paying taxes? Because you learn to pay taxes the minute you get employed. Because I remember, I remember my daughters, I was worried because they were sitting up in the leathers and the plane from a very early age.
Yes.
They were very blessed.
Yep.
How are we going to teach them how to do money? They have to work at a place that gives them a face forward with the public. And of course, the minute we said that, we said, I'm not going to pay for your fun. I'm not going to pay for this or that. I'm going to pay for your food and your clothing. And suddenly they're not shopping in Anthropologie anymore. Suddenly, but to your point, Mary, when they got their first paycheck, McKenna says, well, I made $500. How come I only have $240?
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's the day you learn how to pay taxes.
Lexi learned that.
Yeah.
She was just a...
Howie, is that part of it? Is that the psychological just face fact that, you know, if you have 50 grand a year, you're actually making 36?
Oh. Yeah, I've heard the same thing from many different sources. That seems to be the first rude awakening, so to speak. But no, I mean, there should be something more comprehensive. I mean, AP Econ's a great course, Mary, but it's not going to say, you know, go to TurboTax, it's going to cost you $90 and you're going to have to spend 3 hours going through everything just to make sure it's all right, and you have to do this once a year because you're an adult now. I mean, there's no place for that. So when I see, you know, California is just instituted one of these requirements, which is good, but in true California fashion, they're not letting it kick in until 2031. So, you know, that's pretty lame. So we should be focusing on this.
But there is this mystery and magic to the stock market, right? I mean, not everybody understands it. And what is it? You know, if I say puts and calls and bonds, options versus equities, there is this magic to it. I believe with kids, Howie, and you guys can prove me wrong because you have an 1,800-month-old or something like that.
264-month-old.
You guys are facing this thing where they're asking questions like how many learn to pay taxes. Could you even broach the subject with your college kid, with your little kids, and with your high school kids of, hey, let's talk about how we can make $1 equal $5 over the course of the next 20 years, right?
We're starting to. We're just having those conversations because they're starting to make their own paychecks, and so we're going to be having these conversations.
I think the start on stuff like that is looking at the latte factor.
That's a big one for us because they like to spend their allowance on their on Dutch Bros and Starbucks.
Which is fine. But if you can say, look, instead of that, okay, if you took this much money every single day, if you just took 50 cents a day and put it over here, by the time you're 30, you could buy a house or whatever that number is.
That graph we showed a few weeks ago about the Howie had it.
Yeah, Howie had the latte factor.
It was the if you save that much money for all this many years and you invested it, what you'd have.
I gave Toph one of my dad's old legal pads when he was still practicing law with a Parker pen.
Yeah.
His old Parker pens.
Yeah.
And I said, I'm not going to judge you, but I want you to, as close as you can for a month, just write down every time you spend money. I don't care if it's a latte. I don't care if it's a 6-pack of beer. I don't care if it's...
I bet it was eye-opening.
That one.
Almost fell back out of his chair when I said, now go back and look at it. And we added it up.
Howie, does it come down to you go straight with the investing side and say, look, if you can just put $5 away, that'll equal this? Or is it a matter of just saying, look, cash your paycheck, put it in envelopes, give yourself this much only for entertainment, this much only for gas, and pay yourself first in terms of savings? Where do you start, in your opinion?
Warren Buffett talks about he didn't do his first trade until he was 8, and he said he got to a late start. He should have known. He should have known better. I think it's more about concepts, and I think it's really young. What you're talking about with the envelopes and everything, those are systems for actualizing these concepts, but they need to maybe have a play account when they're young, or paper trade, and just observe what investing looks like, observe what the math is, you know, the power of compound interest, and you can look at
But Howie, you're a serial investor. Is it, in your opinion, should Mary be teaching budgeting first, or investing first, or yes?
Yes is the right answer, but Mary, this is a behavioral thing. This is not a math thing. This is not an information gap. Both of your girls, I'm sure. Yeah, I mean, AP Econ's not a hard class. There's no intelligence factor coming in here at all. It's all behavioral. So I think it's more about taking the time to think about these things. First of all, will get you on the right road.
Well, you know what? This is reminding me, though.
You can't be scared by it.
Of this generation. It's such a immediate gratification generation that comes from, I believe, the phone. And I have enabled it for sure because I am also.
We all have.
We all have. And so now I'm thinking I've got to undo the learning to teach this what it's going to look like for the future, because they're just like, I want a Starbucks and I want it now. I mean, that's their thought process.
But you know what happened though? When we told our girls that, look, we are no longer going to pay for your fun, your fast food, or your gas. We'll pay for your clothing and your shelter and food at home. Okay? When that happened, and it was a law of unintended consequences, I swear, we thought, oh, we're genius. It didn't happen. It was out of that necessity. They said, well, I'm not going to pay, I ain't paying no $50 for a t-shirt. And suddenly they went to thrift stores. It happened that fast.
Yeah.
Honestly, it happened that fast.
Sobering.
No, it was. It was because, again, I wanted them to get jobs so they had to deal with the public because they had to, be able to communicate.
Yep.
But when they had that, we said, okay, here's the deal. We're also not going to do this, this, and this. It happens.
Yeah. Okay.
Lesser people than you have done this, I promise you. And you're a great mom. All right, Big Biz Show. Because she's our grandmother here, I can tell you that.
Big Biz Show rolls on wherever you're watching, wherever you're listening. As always, we appreciate you being with us for a program that in other parts of the world is called the Large Financial Program. Costa, Marybird Godwin, Greg Todorov, and Sully.
Good. Pardon me. Great to see you today, and I will tell you what a great conversation we had with Howie Font regarding financial literacy.
Gosh.
We need to spend more time on that. There needs to be it's not going to be me. There needs to be a financial literacy expert.
For kids.
They're kids, because, and maybe we should relaunch Sully Speaks Money on TikTok Money.
Yeah.
Because it was mainly young folks that wanted to know stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, this ain't your parents' lemonade stand.
Yeah, this ain't your father's business show either.
Hello.
Oh. Oh, I thought you were talking to me.
That's your, no.
Kirk Huntsman, of course, CEO of Vivos Therapeutics, one of the friends of the show. We're so blessed to have had him in studio a number of times. We're going to have him in some more. And of course, he is in charge of Vivos, Vivos.com. That is the company that has created an oral device to deal with OSA, Obstructive Sleep Apnea. First of all, Kirk, welcome to the program once again. Thanks for taking time out. We like you much better in studio than out of studio. And I think that new picture of you blowing leaves off your hand looks pretty good. I like the haircut, mister.
Yeah, well, I wish I looked that
Hey,
good.
can I, before we start here, can you describe what Mike Costa went through up to this point, and then we'll get an update from Mike to see where he is in the program. But Mike decided, and you guys most generously offered up one of your best doctors in the world, dentist of the world here in San Diego, to do what exactly? Talk about the journey a little bit.
Yeah. So Mike is a very typical obstructive sleep apnea patient, and in that he has the type of sleep apnea that he has is called obstructive sleep apnea. And what that effectively means is that there's a physical obstruction in his airway when he lays down to sleep at night. And that obstruction, it actually closes off his airway to the point where, and that's an apnea event. And when it does that, then he can't breathe. And it cycles through this apnea, hypopnea cycle just keeps going all night. And what happens is that blood oxygen levels drop, all kinds of bad things start to happen when we don't have the ability to oxygenate and to respire the way that we're supposed to. So Mike's case is actually a pretty good one for our devices. Probably 85 to 90% of patients out there who have sleep apnea profile out similar to Mike. And okay. So Mike is somebody that is a very good candidate for our treatment. And what we're going to do with him, he's had an evaluation by a dentist. And what we're going to do with him is we're going to put him through a regimen of nightly wear of our FDA cleared oral devices, which actually will reposition some of the tissues in his airway that'll give him a bigger, bolder, more patent airway. So we'll effectively remove that obstruction and give him a chance to have an open airway while he sleeps.
Are you, as you go through this, Mike, did you know, because I know you had a CPAP mask you mentioned.
Right.
And without it, do you walk around tired?
Exhausted.
Do you do all the
1 o'clock, 1:30, I'm like, ugh.
And if you're laying down watching a football game, you fall asleep, you happen to snore and stuff and all that stuff. So all these things are there.
Everything Kirk talked about, I was going.
So I remember when we were talking about it, you got that, okay, it's time to figure this out. And of course, it's the urgency, the urgency of your wife.
100%, yeah.
Urging of your wife.
Yes.
Talk about what you went through there real quick. So we showed some of the B-roll footage, and then where are you at now?
I am just waiting for my device now. And I can honestly say that going through this process has been so easy. It is streamlined. It's boom, boom, boom. You go through the sleep test. You take home a little finger monitor that's hooked up to your phone on an app. You don't have to go to a hospital.
I was going to say, you didn't have to sleep overnight.
No, you do it at your house. You do it for a couple days in a row. That's
a great excuse. Hey, I'm going to do a sleep study, honey. It's down in Mexico. I'll be back next Thursday.
The dentist who I worked with, Dr. Perps, and the Vivos technology is interwoven so beautifully that it's just, if you want a seamless, let's get you breathing better, Kirk, I told Kirk, I said, thank God you came to my life, because I was at that, I'm not wearing the mask anymore.
Hey, Kirk, let me ask you this. You also mentioned in studio here a number of times, and by the way, we're going to be doing BizTV, American Life Network, and even Bloomberg have asked us to do a documentary on the obstructive sleep apnea, and they're going to be our focus as far as the intelligence. You talk about other. We've had cardiologists in here, we've had pediatric physicians in here. Does Mike, one of those candidates, is going to have to go see somebody else, like a chiropractor, somebody else involved in it, or is this a straight line case of just OSA where the dentist can help him? Because oftentimes you guys also enlist other folks in.
Yeah. So. One of the things to know about obstructive sleep apnea is that it's a complex condition. It is not something that you can go to Amazon or online somewhere with some Yahoo hawking some over-the-counter device and get a fix. This is a very dangerous, very complex condition. So it is often the case that we need to involve a multi-specialty group of providers, healthcare providers, to get an optimal outcome. And so my guess is that we're going to probably involve at a minimum a myofunctional therapist and probably a local chiropractor to get everything in place. And it's a special form of chiropractic. It's not just your run-of-the-mill crack your lower back type chiropractic. This is a very specific kind of chiropractic that's geared towards supporting an open patent airway, believe it or not. So we have a very unique approach to this. Our protocols are unique, but I suspect that before he's done, he will, which will take about 9 to 12 months.
Uh-huh.
But I think before he's done, he'll probably be treated by a couple of different people, and but the impact of what we do should start to show up within the first couple of weeks. So it doesn't take long.
Wow.
To start to turn this thing around.
First of all, Kirk Huntsman is his name. He's the CEO of Vivos Therapeutics. Their stock symbol is VVOS, Victor, Oscar, Sam, VVOS. Let's talk about you guys real quick before I let you out of here today. I know we're going to get you back in town here in a few weeks, and we're starting the documentary process and all that stuff. What's next for you guys? What's the latest? You had a couple news bits came out. Stock's been responding great. You got good stuff coming in for 2025. Talk about what's next for you guys and what you're looking forward to for the first quarter of 2025, in as much as you can as a CEO of a public company.
Well, today, as a matter of fact, Sully, we have an earnings announcement today. So a couple hours from now, I'll be back in front of the microphone again, and we'll be giving an actual earnings release, an announcement. I would say pretty good news, right? So pretty good news coming, okay. And so we're excited about that. We're most excited to provide the street with an update on what's been happening with our new pivot. We pivoted over to a new marketing distribution model, and things there have been going along really well. We're excited about that. So, I think as we put all the pieces in place, Vivos in 2025 is going to look a lot different than Vivos historically. We're very, very excited about that. So stay tuned, and you guys, anybody that would like to hear our earnings release can go to our website later today or tomorrow, and the script and everything will be up there. And
perfect. Vivos.com. Thank you, buddy.
Mr. Kirk Huntsman, CEO, VVOS is the stock symbol. You got sleep apnea. That is the man to talk to. That is.
Are you excited?
I'm so excited.
Oh, you're fired up.
Yeah, game changer. All right, more of the Big Biz Show. Live from the Lofty Minute Studios in sunny San Diego, California. Big Biz Show is on there. Good to have you along. 125 million television homes strong. Let's not forget Bloomberg. Let's not forget American Forces Radio Network, or AFARS, American Forces Radio Network Television Services. Greg Todoroff, Mary Burgduck. Where's Costa? When is your top?
His birthday week. Who knows where he is?
Of all days for him to miss.
I know. He usually sits here, but
Yes.
this in front of me now.
Oh.
I'm so excited.
Look at this.
Wow, it's his.
We are blessed to have the Shlemon Hospitality Group. And guess, did you bring him in or did Costa bring him in?
Costa brought him in, but I was gonna try to bring him.
I was gonna.
We met.
Yeah,
It was
that's
on
true.
my list. I
That
have
was-
the flyers. I've talked to you about them before.
This is the one you talked about from the
Yes.
thing?
Yes. Chamber of Commerce. We met.
Why did you not have them here every single day?
I know.
We can make
I've been
that
telling
happen.
you.
Mark, Shlemon, Angelique, Shlemon, well, welcome to the program. Okay, first of all, what am I, so you're not a barbecue place, you're not a fried chicken place, you're not a pizza place. You're all those places.
Yes.
So is this a sticks and bricks type deal, or are you caterers? Talk to me.
I think it's like a culmination of everything you just mentioned. We have a brick and mortar. So Abby's Texas Barbecue, the Philadelphia Sandwich Company, they're located in Miramar.
Miramar, by the way, if you're sitting in New York, is a piece. These are all in San Diego.
Gotcha.
Yes.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Right.
So, and then the Red Chicks is out in Carlsbad. The Red Chicks, we're actually about to hit our year.
The Red Chicks.
Yes.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
the one I
Mary's
had.
not one.
That's what I am not.
Mary's a
but-
blue chick.
But I will eat the red chick for sure.
Yeah.
Yes.
So before the show, the Day Trader Trio got a chance. Any comments, boys? Is it all gone?
Almost.
I love it.
Two thumbs up.
Double thumbs up.
Yep.
Yeah.
We'll take it.
Thank you.
We'll take it.
So first of all, how did this happen? You guys are about 25 years old each. How could you possibly?
That's a compliment. I love
Yeah.
so much.
you guys are
so
kids. How did you get all this stuff started?
Well, we grew up working at our family's business. Abby's has been around for 42 years.
Oh, no kidding.
And so my mom was pregnant with each kid working at
So this
the
is a
restaurant.
home small business.
Yes.
That you guys were just from the time you could
Yeah.
walk.
Yeah.
We're in the kitchen.
We were taking naps in the office.
Actually,
That's how deep it was.
That's funny because Greg does that every single day.
Yeah. Is that a bad thing?
No, not at all.
it was-
Everyone
it was-
needs it.
Yeah, we used to. Our mom would pick us up from school, take us to Abby's, and we used to have a separate section with an office, and she'd take all the kids, put them in there, and she'd be like, "Listen."
Well, just like my friend in high school whose mom had a pizza place, and after school every day he had to go.
Yeah.
I'm saying got to go. But he literally worked every single. It wasn't really a paycheck thing either. It's just,
No.
I'm over here.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I just got to be here. Do you ever fill out an employment form or HR complaint?
no.
Can I? Okay. Well, I'm like, no,
Yeah.
non-disclaimer here.
Yeah.
When we were young, you didn't understand why your parents had you work at a young age. Now I'm old enough and I'm hiring these young adults.
You're having 7 kids.
Oh yeah. We're gonna have a family.
Yeah, totally.
Are you saying this is cheap labor?
Free labor. Free labor. But it was funny because, we didn't understand why they had us do it. And then as we got older, it instilled a great work ethic amongst all of us. And now I can appreciate it looking back, especially now.
So it's Abby's Real Texas Barbecue. Now look, I see this here, and people are watching us from all over the country going, why is there not one in Boston? Why is there not one in New Mexico? Why is there not one in Opelika, Alabama? Have you guys ever thought about scaling?
Yeah, I definitely think we're open to scaling. Right now, we expanded by taking over the Philadelphia Sandwich Company, which is 4 doors down, and then opening up our first franchise in Carlsbad. So we are expanding. I think as far as each brand, we haven't decided.
So this is like Lower East Side buys a business in Midtown and then expands in a third location in Upper West Side.
Yeah.
So and then we're talking about that distance, right? Is when you take a look at, I'm not suggesting a failing business, but a business that's an acquisition opportunity. Are you looking because they're behind in the rent one week, and we can maybe pick this up? How did you guys decide to go from chicken to pizza to Philly cheesesteak sandwiches?
I think diversifying your portfolio is a huge thing. We want to be like a one-stop shop.
Did your parents ever call the restaurant's portfolio, son?
Yeah,
Never.
you're right. No. Yeah, you're right. No, they probably
No, but this is how these businesses grow, right? I mean, you're getting into the point where you guys, you see, it's a movie theme a million times when the young bucks come in and they say, "Mom, we got to modernize this place."
Yes, 100%.
Did you guys do that?
Yes.
I definitely did. They didn't understand or really believe in social media. So
They did it.
This is a movie script.
Yeah, they did it. They did
So I definitely had to persist and prove to them why it's valuable.
Because they were doing coupons in the local mailer, right? I mean,
Yes.
it's that kind of like that's how restaurants used to get their word out.
Very
correct?
old school
You have
marketing.
to have it.
You have to
Not even
adapt.
a question
Yes,
anymore, right?
the culture's changing, technology's adapting. I mean, there's things that we need to integrate that is actually going to help exposure, right? We're trying to target different demographics. Not that our parents' demographic there was anything wrong with it, but at the same time, like our generation, right? They drive now, they have jobs, they have careers, they have more access to getting to our place. And so I was trying to target a different audience, and we capitalized on like social media. It was funny. Our parents literally were like, you guys are wasting your time. Yeah, right. And then all of a sudden we're getting different clients from all age groups, and it was amazing.
Well, it's the same time when you guys talked to them about, we were a restaurant, okay? Then we were an acquisition, and now we're a holding company.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, isn't it really kind of how the thing graduates?
Yeah.
Is the sky the limit? I mean, you pick up a Jamba Juice next? I mean, but is there a category that you look for, or because when we talk to public companies that want to do acquisitions, like Splash Beverage Group, for example, they look at strong earnings, low debt, and maybe they're top heavy with respect to labor and such like that. Do you guys use the same metrics when you look, or how does it come up?
Absolutely. I think that's a big thing is identifying labor targets, identifying what their profit margins are, right? Overhead, if your business can do large sales and revenue without having a ton of in-staff labor, your biggest failures in restaurants is your labor and your food costs. If we're trying to look into a business and you're not getting the foot traffic and your labor's high and your food costs high, there's no point in investing in it.
Mark, and Angelique, did your parents, when you were starting to get older and understanding the business part of it, you weren't just stealing sourdough bread and you're giving you a ball of dough and you can mess around. Were they talking about labor costs and food costs back then?
They were a bit.
Or was it just get as much stuff in as you can, we'll just pay the bills when we can, and just keep going? Because I get the impression that there was a time in our lives when the small businesses, let's get as much because let's just keep going. And they didn't do any analysis like you guys do probably on a daily basis.
I think we had a natural curiosity for it. And
Did they?
Yeah, they did too, for sure. And I mean, my dad was teaching us how to invest in the stock market when we were like 8 years old. So he definitely has a knack for business, and we take after both our parents. They invest in real estate as well. So I think naturally we do want to learn from them, and whatever we learn, we share with them as well. It's mutually beneficial.
So what's the next step for you guys? So you're right here and you're in Southern California. Yeah. San Diego, the 8th largest city in the United States, the number 3 ADI market, I mean, area of dominant influence. Right behind Cleveland, Ohio, Akron, Ohio, which means if there's a test market. Remember light beer, Miller Lite?
Yeah.
Tastes great, less filling?
Sure.
This would be demographically and psychographically, San Diego is one of the most diverse places in the country.
Yep.
Only second to Akron, Ohio.
Wow.
Those are the top two.
That is, I did not expect
top two test markets in the country.
I did not expect
the fact we have
we've heard
options.
We've heard it. If you can fill up a bar in San Diego, you can fill up a bar in Memphis, right?
Yeah.
If you can fill up a restaurant in San Diego, you can fill up a restaurant in Texas.
Yeah.
Any chances that you guys are thinking because franchise means a uniform UFOC franchise offering circular, something like that. I mean, there's a lot of regulation to it, but obviously it's another location.
Yeah.
And it's with not all the outlay.
I think the big thing, you guys, is perfecting what we have right now and getting that system perfected to the T where
you could duplicate it.
Exactly, right? There's always room for improvement. That's what I've learned, especially over the years. No matter how good and how perfect you think you have it, there's always room to improve your business, whether it's marketing, whether it's branding, whether it's the way, adding new menu items. And so we're doing that right now and getting involved with your community, finding ways of doing outreach, fundraisers. Once you get that dialed in, I think that's a really important part is you can also be a big killer. It can be a big killer when you try to expand too fast. And I think a lot of companies, when they do that, they lose the quality, and that's something we take very seriously.
I know Mary's got a question, but I got one more time. When you go to a place, I mean, is it tough for you to be the customer? Because I know if I walk into a crappy pizza place, I'm not going back. Yeah. And they think, well, maybe we can do this. I mean, is it tough to be the customer because you're so...
Yes, it can
right?
be.
That's impossible.
I love that question.
Yeah,
honestly.
It can definitely be challenging, but also there is a level of understanding.
It's just because you like it doesn't mean that Greg's going to like it.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, we think it's an en masse type of thing, right? The more people show up and we're coming back, then they must like this one.
Yes.
It's almost like changing the menu, maybe?
I give restaurants always the benefit of the doubt. That's like a big thing for me because we're in that position where I've walked into a place and I see they're running around, they're short. I can just tell immediately they're short-staffed, they're busy, they're getting phone calls.
But you're looking at it from a metrics point of view in terms of business. I'm looking at it. This is my hard-earned dough. I don't eat pizza that often, so it better be great. Sure. Otherwise, I'm not coming back. And so the benefit of the doubt goes to it goes to whatever the economic principles are at the time, right?
Yeah.
It also comes down to, I think sometimes my time's more valuable than my money.
I agree
Yes.
with you.
Right?
I think that's
So how do you, but that's for you guys, it's so tough.
It is. I do think that's when customer service really comes
Yes.
into play, because if you walk in and you're greeted and you can tell that they're putting so much love and hard work into the food, automatically.
No, you're right. I'll give you that.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, if you walk in, if they're trying hard,
Yes.
I'll give them one more chance.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's the big thing for me is when I walk into a place, if I'm greeted immediately, hey, we are so busy right now. Do you mind giving me a minute? I've been there
kick
and I
back.
understand. And I'm like, okay, no worries. But if you don't help me or you don't smile or you don't say hi when I walk in, I'll give you like a couple minutes. I'm like, I'm out of here.
What kind of food is Sully's going to be?
Yeah.
Well, after
You
the
tell
show,
us.
after the show,
We'll have
we'll
a
work out a
combo.
business plan together.
What would it be? Tequila drinks?
I think so. Where we start anyway.
We could open a bar like this.
The drive-through.
I love it. Actually, bar, they have
Guys, will you come back with us?
Are we eating yet?
Oh,
Yeah, let's
oh,
dig in.
What's up?
Have at it.
Works.
Mark
Can I
and
just
Angelique,
dig in?
Shlemon Hospitality. If you guys want to find them, go to
going in.
Abbey'sTexasBBQ.com. We'll put it on our website. Think about it. Look at all the stuff they have in the lobby here, guys. Big Biz Show, BigBizShow.com. Great to have you along today. 125 million TV homes strong, maybe more, because now we have El Financiero Bloomberg. 15 million expats trying to get their money out of Mexico. Great to have you along today. Amit Kumar is the chairman and CEO of Anixa Biosciences. Stock symbol ANIX, Anixa.com. Their cutting edge work in cancer immunotherapy, particularly focusing on their innovative approaches to harness the immune system for early cancer detection and personalized treatment. Is pretty interesting. I know that Mary is one of your favorite guests to interview because of the fact that this it has an AI role, it has a breast cancer role, it has a role in the immune system. And I give you Amit Kumar. Amit, real quickly, can then welcome back to the program. I know we just had you recently, but I want to talk to you about something you talked about last time, and I got a ton of email on it, and I want to start off with it. You called it, I think it was called CART cell therapy. And maybe I'm saying that wrong, but you can talk to me about that because basically it's kind of a customized cellular treatment. Is that correct?
That's correct. It's in the industry it's referred to as CAR-T, chimeric antigen receptor T cell technology, and it's a relatively new type of immunotherapy that created a tremendous amount of excitement in the medical community and the investor community a few years ago when clinical trials showed that this type of therapy was able to effectively cure a large percentage of leukemia and lymphoma patients. These are patients who had certain types of blood cancers. And so the excitement was there because if CAR-T therapy could be utilized against late-stage metastatic near-death patients who had solid tumors, it could be a game changer.
And by the way, I misspoke about breast. It was ovarian cancer that we're talking about the research on. Does this affect just blood cancers, or is it also solid tumor cancers?
Well, as I noted, it was very successful in certain blood cancers, but people have tried to make it work in solid tumors and have been unsuccessful. However, we have certain nuances about our therapy that we think will make it successful in solid tumors. And we're at early stages in the clinical trial, just 6 patients so far, but we're already seeing anecdotal evidence, because it's not statistically relevant yet, but anecdotal evidence of having an impact on some of these patients. And in fact, one of these patients that is over a year out after therapy, we just received FDA approval to give that patient a second dosage of the therapy, so that we could perhaps have a significant impact and maybe even, I hate to use the word cure, but cure that patient.
Yeah, but that's big news, though. If FDA is approving a second dose, there's a reason they're doing it, because those aren't handed out.
And, is this something that goes in tandem with chemo or radiation, or would this replace that treatment?
Well, the way this treatment is being done right now is in clinical trials, after all patients have failed every other approved therapy. That includes chemo, radiation, or any other therapy that has been tested. So all of the patients that we're getting in this trial are patients with very short life expectancies that have no other options. They have failed everything else. And ordinarily, these patients would be asked to go and get their affairs in order. But we are trying to save their lives, and we're starting to see some indication that we're having an impact. I hesitate to talk broadly about it because it's still a very small number of patients, but we are one of the, I think, probably the only company that is showing some impact like this. So it's incredibly exciting. And certainly if we can demonstrate this success going forward with a larger number of patients, even 20 or 25 patients, then this therapy could be game-changing for, in this particular case, ovarian cancer.
Amit Kumar is Chairman and CEO of Anixa Biosciences. ANIX is a stock symbol, ANIX, and you go to anixa.com. Let's talk about the ovarian cancer research that aims to sort of develop preventative therapies, which is really interesting. And I think that's the thing that's getting everybody to get their ears up on this thing. This is a pretty big advancement when you talk about preventative, especially in this space. Expand on that a little bit for us.
Yeah, that's right. We're working on several vaccines for preventing cancer. We're working on ovarian cancer, and we're allied with the Cleveland Clinic and the National Cancer Institute on that. But the one that's furthest along is a breast cancer vaccine that we're partnered with the Cleveland Clinic and the U.S. Department of Defense on that program. That's a vaccine that has been tested on 25 women so far, and the data is looking incredibly promising. The vision for this vaccine is eventually to be able to give it to all women and try and prevent cancer, either the majority of breast cancers or all breast cancers in these women. Kind of like vaccines, prophylactic vaccines of this nature have prevented infectious diseases and in many cases eliminated those infectious diseases like polio and smallpox. And we think we have the potential to be able to do that with breast cancer. Still early days, and so I'm making a very bold statement about trying to prevent all breast cancers, but the data is looking incredibly promising. In fact, more promising than any other cancer vaccine of this type has ever demonstrated.
Fantastic stuff. Amit, before I let you out of here today, we got a short amount of time, but let's talk about some pretty good news that came out this week that you guys released into the marketplace. Talk about the press release that came out just a few days ago.
Well, we've had a couple of press releases that came out. One is that we are doing a stock buyback because we feel we are very well financed and have a good, strong balance sheet, and our stock is undervalued. In addition, as we noted a moment ago, we just received FDA approval to do certain things with these patients in the CAR-T ovarian cancer therapy trial. And so that's incredibly exciting, and we hope to be able to provide updates on that in the near future.
And the reason I bring it back up in that manner is because, we rarely talk about share price and shareholders and stuff, but it's interesting when you put something out that's that significant, and it takes a couple of days to digest something like that, but it really is symptomatic of what you guys are doing with respect to moving the ball along here, because as I mentioned before, FDA just doesn't hand out approvals for second doses unless it's going in the right direction. I mean, that in itself is the milestone on top of the fact that you're curing folks. Amit, thanks so much. We'll see you in a week or so here. Amit Kumar, Chairman and CEO, Anixa Biosciences, ANIX, Anixa.com. Focus on the treatment and prevention of cancer. Can you imagine a preventative therapy? I know.
Phenomenal.
It really is. Just eat celery. That's all. Drink water, eat celery. Throw away all the TVs. All right. More Big Biz Show to come. See you in a bit.
So what are some of the pitfalls that maybe some businesses might run into when they're looking at distribution?
Yeah, they're constantly underestimating, believe it or not, the ease of it or the importance of it. It's execution. Execution is so very important, but if it's not on shelf, it's not for sale.
Yeah.
Nobody cares about Marion Roberts juice if it's not on shelf. Right. So distribution trusts us, and so does retail, and our team is incredible.